Hi there. If you don't know me, I am Azure, otherwise known as Amnesia, but in past I used to be a terrible ragabate under the identified GL1TCH_kit. I use them and I'm about to be 15 in 2 months. I may not be a perfect person and a fully correct average commentary person, but I do rants of people that should have been ranted. I'm not a moral compass, but I do have human rights just like you all. But I believe this gives me more of a reason to speak on this situation, both as someone who knew Magenta since 2021, but it's weird that we all aren't that different. I encourage you to come in with an open mind because of this. If you trust me, find a reason to trust them. And if you trust them, find a reason to trust me. And if you trust neither, then just listen. Make sure you keep your comments respectful. I will try to explain everything here as possible. I will also mention a big chunk of commentary will be from Magenta themselves, as I've interviewed them about the whole situation, which I believe helps more. However, there's a trigger warning, which is everything. Do not attack anyone involved and mentioned in this video, including Emmy and Magenta, video and viewer discretion is advised. My first issue with this video is false information all through. There is a problem of assumptions based off bias in accounts other than Magenta herself. I would like to clarify. Magenta isn't white. Magenta is European, half Balkan and half Germanic, claiming otherwise purposely gives her a bad look. Magenta also doesn't. Also, she didn't know that the N-word slur was racist for those who were not black. If you don't know what's that word, search it up. However, before you say a word, please search up what's the word before saying it, and there will no need to say that she was a zoophile. She was never one, and that she was racist and even more, but the rants on her say it is recent when it was in 2023 to 2024. Whatever. Most of stuff in exposing videos only show stuff who ranges from 2023 to 2024, the time she was at the worst. I can say this without a doubt, as I've seen some of this firsthand. I didn't support problematic actions. I was in various group chats with her. One time there was a group called Unword in my B7 Thal 3 with Moss Shadow in. However, we used to bully Moss Shadow even. Magenta was saying N-word when she wasn't black. We disliked Moss Shadow since he was a weirdo. I thought I'd bring up another revealant point which just devalues the validity of exposing stuff on her. Many people have wronged Magenta in some way. One of the individuals have admitted that Magenta did not mean any harm. I don't want to share names of them speaking out of fear he attacked, and when I was in some group chats, everyone was rude to each other, everything was deemed cringe, gore was sent, slurs were frequently thrown around, and I just had to sit there and pretend to be fine with it. Nobody ever spoke up and instead enabled it. We were in similar groups. This shows how harmful it was to Magenta as well. Adding on, there is a few out of context screenshots as well as just blatantly fake and or edited ones. It's even more ironic that some of screenshots came from those who wronged Magenta. It's very irresponsible to allow these to slide in without any proofreading or second-day alternate accounts seeing it. My third issue may be small, but based on Magenta's reaction is opposite. The usage of her in real life name, widely spreading this name, can cause harm to both her and unrelated people who are close to her. Luckily, she didn't say full name, which is name plus surname, but only 2 people know it, but luckily they will never post it. It is very unsafe as well as disrespectful to put sensitive information like that in something like that without asking. It would partially count as doxing, which is hypocritical because this is behavior Magenta was called out for. Magenta does have diagnosed autism and ADHD. I also do believe they suffer from other illness such as PTSD and BPD, based on her sad backstory. I know this since her persona, Andrea, is based on herself. In real life, and things that happen to the character happen to her, and we can see that her mother is terrible. And I forgot to say she is even hypersexual. I even think these are very important. Having these mental disabilities and illness confirmed, it can give more and way, make her aggressive and show in some cases she didn't mean harm. She also has anger issues. She was simply uneducated and people around her didn't care to give her information on it. For example, autism is a spectrum. However, one of symptoms is that it does tend to cause some people to have more morbid and offensive humor. It isn't always condonable. However, it isn't always indefensible either. It's almost all about belief, context, and consent. Neurodivergency causes people to have the inability to understand what's wrong and what's right easily. It doesn't help to yell at somebody or be hostile for their jokes they make or the things they say. This goes for holistic people as well, but it's harder for those suffering with neurodivergency, especially undeveloped kids with it. I can prove this right now by how our situation was handled. She would publicly say every offensive thing known to a man instead of people, saying, hey, even if you think this isn't harmful, it is, and that's why she got a ridiculously long call-out and an unbearable amount of hate. It didn't make her want to try. The people who did root for her and love her did made her want to. That's a big problem with this situation as well. Now, let's get started on actual stuff. Fetish. Most of fetish was private, but some are public. But there was vor and pregnancy as fetish. She did pregnancy fetish in Roblox a lot, and even vor. If I have to be honest, fetish is not bad. Not good either, but it's neutral. Fetish is bad. Depends if something terrible is fetish, and fetish is bad when it's something terrible. Harmful act. Keep in mind that Magenta was around 8 to 9 when she made fetish stuff. However, her fetish stuff were not harmful, since it was fetish of her randomox. And it's her characters, which means it didn't harm everyone. Again, that was from 2021, back in 202 to 2024, around same time Magenta was being edgy. She got groomed by her two ex-friends, and that caused them to be a terrible person, make more jokes, and send NSFW regarding minorities that were harmed and affected in that time. It's hard to get out of communities when you don't have anyone else but communities, and it was the same for Magenta as well. These influences and these people who pushed for them to say these disgusting were the only people they had at the time. Even people who wanted to help her didn't look over her very well. And keep in mind, this doesn't mean Magenta didn't care at the time, but they were simply too undeveloped to realize the severity of the situation, as well as apathetic. I'm not insulting their apathy. It's clear this is a direct symptom of their autism. I believe influence also strengthens the point they weren't actually being racist because, again, it didn't reflect direct hatred. It was quite literally just a child copying everything they saw. Magenta has apologized and has not repeated this behavior since. They have made a few racist jokes. However, again, that was based off of influence from people around them. Their friends who were minorities would push them to make these jokes and make them feel safe, pretending that it was okay, and when they Callout called them out for it, which is very manipulative. And again, I don't think this should be used as a point to prove they're racist if they were literally taught to say these things by people. Let's get on other topic. CP known as cheese pizza and grape. But I can't say words, so you'll have to know. What's that by yourself? Magenta never did grape, neither cheese. Pizza. Yes, her Magenta used to be a minor in 2022, but she changed it to adult in start of 2023, and people falsely accused the character Magenta being a child when it used to be a child in 2022, and Magenta herself stated it's a adult in 2023 multiple times. And worst thing is people believed others, and not Magenta herself. And people tried to accuse her of drawing cheese pizza by saying the Ock is her persona, but it isn't since she never said it was a persona. And no, she didn't draw cheese pizza of someone's. Oh, see, the person who accused her of that wanted to give her a bad look, and she didn't draw grape too. If she really drew grape, there would be red stuff, but seriously, accusing her of stuff she never did is fucking stupid. If you're accusing her of false stuff just because you hate her or want some fame, that is really stupid, very stupid. Plus, Magenta did drew an SFW of herself Earl with a character her age, but she didn't know it was that, and basically she was trying to explain what happened in her dream in 2024. Next topic, Nazi. Magenta used to ragabate with a Nazi character named Cayenne, short for Kai. However, she made it an anti-problematic character this year. But I'll explain what she used to do with that character last year. As I have said, she used to copy people and is neurodivergent, and she saw people do that's so she decided to come up with terrible ragabate, but later she quit that and made a new account where she kills fandoms as ragabate, which is better for her. Next topic, online kill. If you don't know what is that, it's basically drawing and or animating your character, killing another character, but here's an example. We'll use someone's video as an example. Yeah, that's the point of online killing. Point of it is to a character attack another character and kill it. However, it's only illegal when it's killing someone's since that counts as death threats, but Magenta didn't care since she was doing this around 2023 to 2024, but stopped this year. If you're killing your it's okay, but killing others counts as death threats. So yeah, is it illegal? Depends. It depends if character is yours and the age, and if it's quadruped or anthropomorphic. Next topic, zoo. No, I am not talking about the zoo parks who have animals in them and you visit animals. It's something different. Remove the word park and replace it with philia. Also, Magenta was never a zoo. People were brainwashed. No, just because she has a hear me out on a fictional furry who's an anthropomorphic character doesn't mean she's one. Zoo is when you had intimate stuff with a literal animal in real life, or gooning too. Literal animals Earl, which she never did. Just because she has a hear me out on this character doesn't immediately make her a zoo. I've already said what makes someone a zoo, so you should do research before accusing someone like a dumbass. Also, it's a anthropomorphic character. I even saw many people have hear me out on that exact same character. It's odd how people call her a zoo but them not. Even though none are zoos, you guys are just fucking brainwashed.
So do you research before accusing someone?
Next topic, Grisy and Moss Shadow drama. There won't be much of Moss Shadow and Grisy, but if you want stuff about them, then just search Moss Shadow Hater on YouTube until you see a video made by Silly Goose, and it's recommended to check the playlist of theirs. And if you would like to see stuff about Grisy, then go check my profile and click the Grisy exposing final part, since there's everything. Let's start of Moss Shadow first. Magenta has doxed them, but it was Moss Shadow Themselves who was doxing themselves, and Magenta posted stuff. That was around 2022, and Moss Shadow in 2023 posted a video, but it was full of misinformation from other people and not Magenta themselves. Like only Magenta can confirm, not somebody else.
Also, Moss Shadow still thinks Magenta drew cheese pizza, grape, and zoo. But there's no fucking proof. Which means Moss Shadow is a liar. And Magenta never drew these so. Moss Shadow, quit accusing her of stuff she didn't do.
And we know Magenta used to harass Grisy, but that doesn't mean Grisy can harass and groom her. Last topic, jealousy. I wasn't sure if Magenta was jealous, but keep in mind she is a neurodivergent person, which means she doesn't know what she's doing is good or bad and doesn't even think about it. But her little sister tried to make someone break up for her, but both Magenta and her little sister didn't think about it. And Magenta pretended that it was a good idea. But deep wasn't she even had to fit in, but then she regretted it. And I think I explained whole drama because Magenta was lazy to explain. That's all. Make sure to check pinned comment and description